Good day, everyone. Welcome to my session, Advanced Conditional Formatting in Power BI. In this session, we are going to be talking about a lot of interesting things on how you can use conditional formatting effectively in Power BI. Welcome to the Data Platform Virtual Summit 2021. I am your speaker for today. My name is Adewale Yusuf. I'm a business intelligence analyst and also a trainer at D-Brand Consulting. I'm a Microsoft certified trainer. I also lead the Nigeria Power Platform User Group in Oyo State, Nigeria. I moderate the MCT West Africa Virtual Series every month. I'm a Microsoft Most Valuable Professional in Data Platform. You can connect with me on Twitter at Adewale Analyst. Also on YouTube, Adewale Yusuf. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn, Adewale Yusuf. So this is me. Let's go into the session. This is the agenda for today. We'll be talking about what a conditional formatting is. We also talk about the basic formatting on a table and some dynamic formatting with tables. So actually, before I go deep dive into my session, the demo, to show you what a conditional formatting is, I'm sure we've heard about what a conditional formatting is actually. So it's just a way of setting a simple conditions to say, I want to see this when this happen, and I want to see this when this happen. So a lot of people use colors for the people that are familiar with Excel very well. So you use colors sometimes to say when a certain number is higher than a particular value, then I want to see this color in green, which is the common one. When this color is actually below this certain value, then I want to see this color in red, right? Which is what most of us do. And that is what a conditional formatting is. Now, we need to understand that there are a lot of formatting that you can actually do when you are actually working with Power BI. And that's what most people don't do. So you can actually bring your report from just looking too boring to a well-dynamic and well-structured report, an interesting report with conditional formatting. So I'm going to show you a sample of one report now, one of the reports that I've built in the past in Power BI. I will show you a sample of that one-pager report. If you look at this report that I'm showing on my screen now, so this report basically is a report of different financials of different banks in our country here in Nigeria, right? And then this basically shows their financial statement and also shows their loans by year, their actuals by year, right? So this is their NPL by year, right here. And you can also see the loans by quarter. So technically here, what this conditional formatting is doing in this table and what we'll be trying to actually do today is the same thing that we have here. So if you look at the filter that I have above here, presently this filter is on Access Bank. And what I'm doing here is just to see all the data related to Access Bank. So if I come here and I select FBNH, which is like First Bank, so you notice that dynamically the old dashboard actually changed. Based on color, the color changes, the background color also change, the logo also change, and most of the things in this data actually change, right? And that is what a conditional formatting will do for you. So if I also select another bank called GTB, so I have another bank here called GTB, that's Guarantee Trusted Bank. So you notice that immediately I select GTB, let me do that again. So immediately I select GTB, you notice that dynamically the old dashboard actually changed and the color of the dashboard changed to orange because actually GTB color, right? And from changing to UBA also, so let me change the UBA also so that you can see. Now this changed to red because Union Bank of Nigeria actually use red as their color, right? So everything changed, the color changes, even if you look at the card, right? The grid lines of the card actually change as well. So if I click on Zenith Bank, I will notice that Zenith Bank also changes as well. So most of the time, we like to dynamically change most of the things that we do so that our report can be extremely perfect. Now, looking at this chart that I have here, so this chart here basically shows, sometimes when we have like a period or a timeline, so we tend to sometimes cannot actually sort the category based on the highest value, right? Because it's a trend. So 2012 must come before 2013. So because we cannot do that, a lot of people find it difficult trying to see which one is the highest and which one is the smallest. So with the conditional formatting, I can actually determine the one that is the highest, maybe by a color, and the one that is the smallest, right? So looking at this, I can see 2018 is the highest and 2016 is the smallest. Same thing goes to a table. So look at this. You will see that I actually have a table here that shows my line item for balance sheet, right? So I want to see the top three in green and the bottom in the bottom whatever in red, right? So if I come here and I select whatever I want to see, so it will be easy for me to actually see the lowest number in colors, and I can actually filter the different colors and check different things. So let's check Access Bank, for example. So looking at Access Bank, so I have top six as my lower band. So I want to see the top six as lower band. So easily for me, I can actually see the top six. Let me select Access Bank. So I can see the top six, the top three actually. So I select top three as my upper band. So this is it in green. So top three in green, and I want to see the lower band of six. So I can see these are the lower revenue that I have, right? So these are the lower values that I have, right, for the previous year and the actual, right? So I can change my lower bar the way that I want it. I can do different kind of stuff, right? So I'll be able to see it here. I can even change from balance sheet to maybe I want to fill P&L. Then I'll be able to see P&L here, and also see the bands and all that for it in colors, right? In colors, I should be able to see the top three in green, so that will trigger my memory to say, okay, so this is this and this is that. And that is the beauty of what a conditional formatting can do for you. So a lot of people, before they can arrive at this dynamic dashboard where different colors actually change based on different things, they spend more time because they tend to create different dashboard for different things, right? And then because of the colors, really, so people tend to create different dashboard. But because of conditional formatting, you don't need to create different dashboards to be able to achieve this. You can actually make your shape dynamic. You can make your a chart dynamic. You can make your background dynamic. You can make your font dynamic with conditional formatting. So I'll be going directly into the demo actually, and show you how you can dynamically change some content in your table and some basic kind of conditional formatting in the table, right? So we all know we can actually do some basic kind of conditional formatting in a table, and that's what we most of us are used to in Power BI. That's what most of us are used to in Power BI, which is the basic way of doing our conditional formatting. So if you look at this table that I have here, let me just bring my chart in Power BI desktop. All right. So looking at this Power BI desktop here, let me create a new page. I'm just going to create a new page now. And in this my new page that I created, I'm just basically going to create just a small report that shows the let me just come here. I'll do a small report of my chart of account. I'll do maybe account by account category, and then basically I will just go and select my um actual. I'll select my actual. I'll select my actual from here. So this is a table that has what I want, right? It's a table that has basically what I want. Basically what I want. So you can see this, and you can see that some people like to actually do a conditional formatting on this. So if you look at this really, and we come to visualization here, you notice that once you click on a value, there is something called conditional formatting. Conditional formatting. Conditional formatting. And that's what most of us actually click on, right? So you have different options for doing a conditional formatting, right? So you can either change the background color, do a font color, do a data bars, do icon, and web URL. So I'm going to be picking it one by one. So you see the effect of different one of them. So for the first one, which is background color, so if I select background color, there's a lot of conditions I can do to actually change the color of my background in this table. So if you look at this, I'll see format by, do I want to format by color scale, the color scale here? Do I want to format by rules? Do I want to format by maybe feed value? So feed value is just like you've created a DAX already, like a DAX measure that you can use to format your table. But we are going to get there. Now, I'll start by maybe rules, right? Let's do a rules, right? So I want to check if this my value is greater than or equals to some particular amount, right? Then I want you to do this. Then if it's less than this, I want to give it this color, right? So basically, I'll come to here and I'll say if my value is greater than, um, let me say 1 million this time. I'll just do 1 million, and it's less than 1 million as well. And it's less than 1 million, then I want you to give it maybe color green, right? I'll just pick green here. This is it. Then I can do a new rule and say if this is greater than um, um, 200,000, 200,000 in number, and is less than, let's say, 700,000, then I want you to put a color for me in maybe red, right? You can do red. Okay, you can do red here, right? And I'll say okay. Now, basically, what I did was to change the background color. What I did was to change the background color, right? But I think the green did not come. So let me go back again and then set up my rule, just amend my rule a little bit for background color. So I can go back and say, okay, I think I put uh, something different here. So what did I type here? And it's less than, did I do 10 million? So if it's greater than 100 million and it's less than, let me just put 50, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Let's see if the green will come. I just put some numbers. So actually, I need to study this number to be able to say, okay, so this is 219. This is a lot of numbers. So I need to study this number to be able to say, okay, so these are the one I want to call out, and this is not the one. So this is just a basic conditional formatting, right? Formatting the background. Also, there's another type of conditional formatting here. You see font color. You can actually do a condition based on font colors to say, I want to see the font color based on this. I want to see the font color based on this. So the lowest value, if I want to do it based on maybe value, so or I want to do it based on rules. So I can actually do it based on values to say, I want to see the lowest from the lowest to this. So once I click OK, notice that the color of the font will change based on from the lowest to the highest, right? So which is another type of conditional formatting that you can do. So if I go to conditional formatting again, I can do data bars as well. This is what a lot of people do as well. So I want to see data bars, right? Once I click OK, so this one I was just picking, I want to see data bars from the highest to the lowest. So it's just pick bars, right? So let me sort this. So it's just keep on putting bars based on whatever is there, right? To just keep on putting bars. So that's another type of conditional formatting. Icons is also there, which is very interesting that a lot of people use. So you can use icon as well. You can come here, change your style of icons. You want to use different icons, different way of doing conditional formatting, right? But now, let's try and go into more way of doing a dynamic conditional formatting. So I'm going to replicate the same thing I show you on my dashboard here, the same thing I did here. I'm going to replicate it and do it from scratch. Then we are going to do it together. So you watch the way I can actually use conditional formatting to recreate this particular page. So basically, I'll create a new page and start to replicate this report that I have here in the same page. So if you look at my screen very well, this is a blank screen and I want to start this from scratch, really, from scratch, right? So the first thing I will do, I'll bring a shape and then draw a shape, just a single shape here, put it at the top here. So that's the design of the dashboard that I did. Put the shape at the top here. I can also copy and paste the shape, also put it down here. So that's the design that I use. So I have two shape here, one at the top and then one below my page, right? So one below my page. So if I look at the dashboard again too, I think the thing I also did here was to have a slicer here. I have some just some cards here so that I can actually use it. So I can come here now and just replicate this same design. So the first thing I'll do is to bring a table visual from my visual. I'll just bring a table visual. Let me just create all the visuals so you see the visual first. So I'll bring a table visual here. So in my table visual, basically I have two categories really. So I'm going to pick all those categories and put it there as well. So I pick the categories for my chart of account. So I have account category here, and then I have the account subgroup, right? But I'm using a matrix so that I can categorize it nicely. All right, interesting. But I think I should use the um, other item instead of account subgroup. Let me just use item. So item will give me more details that I need. All right, so I have items. I have the details under asset, under items. So the next thing to do is just to put my actual and my previous year in this table. So I'm just creating a simple table. So it's not something complex. And then my previous year as well. So I can rename this to previous year. Let me just rename this. All right, then this is my actual. All right, so I have my table set here. I have my table set. I have my table set already. My actual, then my previous year. So I can change the design of the table a little bit. I think I like the style of the table to always be none. So I prefer that none. Now I need to bring some slicers in that I can use to slice the categories, right? So let me bring the slicers for the accounts so that I can slice by balance sheet, chart of P&L, and the likes. So I like this to be a drop down slicer. Drop down slicer. Yep. So I can select balance sheet here, for example. All right. So I have balance sheet here. I have balance sheet. So let me also bring a slicer for year really. So I'm just designing a little bit dashboard. So you see the way the design of my dashboard will be. But before I create the other chart, I will just bring the slicer for uh, the banks, the different banks, so that you can see how those banks can actually work with my colors. So we change this to year. All right. So I bring another slicer for the banks. Okay, interesting. So this is the banks that I have here. These are the banks. These are the banks here. These are the banks I have up here. Let me just change this to an horizontal slicer. All right. Okay, so basically, I want to streamline this bank to some banks that I actually want to work with alone, just 5 banks actually. So I like to focus my report on 5 banks. I call them fugas really. So I'll just filter this by those 5 banks. So I know these are the banks that I'm working with. So GTB, I'm also working with UBA, and then Zenith is the last one. So to make it 5. So I'll prefer to work with these 5 banks. All right. So let me switch off the background color for this. All right, so this is the banks. This is the banks that I'm working with. So the first thing I want to do with my conditional formatting is that whenever I select any bank of my choice. I want this shape here, the color of this shape up here, and the color of this shape down here to change to the color of that bank, right? To change to the color of that particular bank, right? So that's the first thing that I want to do. And for me to be able to do that, I have to write a measure called background color, right? So remember, when I was introducing conditional formatting to you the other time in the table, I showed you that you can actually pick between a color scale, a condition, and also something called feed value. So remember I said we are going to write a DAX that shows you how you can create a different switch of color. So you switch from different colors. All right. So what I will do now, I'm going to write a measure. So I'll right click on this my consolidated banks and write a new measure. So this new measure, I'm going to call it background color test. Background color test, so that you can see what I'm writing. So let me zoom this a little bit so you see the way I'm writing the measure. All right. So I'll call this background color test. Background background color. That's called tests. All right. So this formula is actually very straightforward. There is a DAX measure in that's called switch. So this DAX measure allows you to switch from different things. So I want to switch from here to here, switch from here to here. So and it's one of the very effective DAX functions that you need to know how to write, especially when you want to be very effective with conditional formatting. So I will write this function called switch. So you see, return different result depending on the value of an expression, right? So I want to return a different colors for each bank. So I'll pick this um, uh, DAX measure called switch, right? The DAX called switch. Now, the next thing I want to write after switch is something called selected value. So whenever somebody selects a value from the banks, right, then I want my conditional format to do this. I want the switch to actually switch to this particular color. So I will use a measure called selected value, right? Selected value return the value when there's only one value in the specified column was selected, right? So I want to use a selected value. So whenever banks is actually selected, banks, right? From banks column, whenever this guy is selected, then what do I want the switch to do, right? So I'll close my bracket for this. So I want the switch to do some basic things, right? I want you to change Access Bank to something. So I will check Access Bank, right? Whenever you see somebody select Access Bank, then I want you to use a color, right? So that means I need to know the color of Access Bank. If Access is selected, then I want a particular color. So the first thing I need to do is to know which color is Access Bank. I think Access Bank use orange and they also use some kind of blue, right? So I can come here and actually type blue here. So I want blue. I want blue, right? I want blue. So let me close this bracket now and let's select, but before I even do that, I need to actually select everything I want all other banks to also show. But another beauty thing about this thing is, right, you can actually copy the X code as well, the X code. So if you know the X code for Access Bank, you can just copy those code and put it here, the color code, and put it here. So instead of having the blue, so you should be sure of the color you are putting. So for me, I think I have the color code for Access Bank. So I can just come here and just put the color code, the blue color code for Access Bank here, right? Now that I'm done writing the color code for Access Bank, so I put a comma and I start another bank. So for UBA really, so whenever UBA is selected, I want you to give me red. So we all know UBA color is red. So basically I don't need to copy X code for this, right? So I can just say give me red. Now for GTB also has is some kind of special orange color, right? So I may say orange. I may just say orange. Give me orange. Let me just even put orange, right? Since I know this is GTB. Give me orange color. Then it's to give me orange. Then for Zenith Bank really also use some kind of brown actually. So their own color is not red, it's like brown. So when Zenith is selected, then I want you to give me brown color. right? Brown color. All right. So otherwise, just give me maybe black, or let me say red, or I should not even use red. So if you select all these banks, so because for this actually you can see Access Bank, you can see UBA, you can see GTB, you can see Zenith, but I've not specified something for First Bank actually, which is the FVN. So I can use their own color code too. So I think I have their color code somewhere, so I can just copy the code and then put it here, right? I can copy the X code and put it here, right? So otherwise, just give me this. Just give me this color code, right? That's what I want. Give me this color code. If somebody select this and it doesn't work for this, give me this color code. So let me enter this DAX measure. All right. So I've successfully write my background text color. What I just need to do now is to make sure I actually connect this background color to the new page I created, which is this shape, this different shape, right? So what I will do, I'll click on the shape. And from the shape, you will see the fill color here, outline color. I'll switch it off. I don't really need outline. So for fill color, there is something called FX here. So which means that aside from changing the fill color for this particular shape, I can actually use a formula to dynamically change the color, right? So this is some of the update that Microsoft done in the past. So if I click this, this is me changing the color manually, and this is what most of us do. But I can actually use this FX, right, to change the color dynamically. Now, you notice that it takes us back to the same interface of the conditional formatting. I can come to base, format by, do I want to do a color scale? Do I want to do a rules? Do I want to do a feed value? So I'll actually do feed value this time because I've actually created a measure that change those color dynamically. So I'll come to the base of field and just go and select that measure that I created. So I have that in consolidated bank and I call it background color test, right? Then I'll click OK. So basically, I have created a dynamic changing of color. So let me do the same thing for what we have done here. I'll just do this and just come to FX the same way, same thing, FX, and then change the format by to feed value, and then I'll go and select my background text color, right? Then I'll click OK. All right, same thing. So if I select Access Bank, let's see if the color is going to change. Can you see that? The color changed to Access Bank color. If I select FBNH, the color changed to blue. GTB definitely should be orange, right? Orange, but I think this kind of orange is some kind of too light. So GTB orange is kind of too deep than this. So I may need to go back to my background color test and amend the color a little bit. So I put orange here. I think I have the color code for GTB as well. So I can just copy their color code and just put it there. So instead of having this lighter color of orange, right? So let me put the color code here. So this should be a little bit deep orange. So let's see what that will do. All right, interesting. So this is now like GTB orange. So once I click UBA, we agree UBA is red, right? So you can see that the shape is already changing. The shape is changing already. The color of the shape is changing. Zenith Bank is brown, so you can see this is changing also. Now, the next thing I need to do is to add some kind of the title. So I call it dynamic title really. So I want to see the dynamic title for each of the banks, so that when I select the banks, I can see the name. So I've created a measure for that dynamic title already. So I'll just put it in a card and just bring it in. So I call it dynamic title. All right, so this is the dynamic title. Let me switch up the category label and just reduce the size as well. All right, so I have this. All right, and put it here. Let me switch up the background. I think I can still reduce the size more to maybe 21. All right, so let me switch up the background for this so that we can see the color nicely. All right, so I have Zenith Bank financial summary. Zenith Bank financial summary here. Okay, so but if you look at this, right, this black is not really showing well on this color. But for GTB, I think the yes, for GTB the black may be showing very nice, so people can see the black, right? Even for FVNH, the black is some kind of too faint. Even for this color, the black is too faint. For Zenith Bank, the black is too faint. For UBA, I think I can still see it, but only GTB look more perfect. So I can do a conditional formatting on the font color. So when I select a particular bank, the color of the font will be different, right? So that this can actually match exactly what I have. So I can do the same measure, just something similar to what I did earlier. So come here, right click and say new measure. So new measure, then I will just select, but this time I just want to call it font color underscore test. So this is what I'm writing, font color underscore test. Remember the powerful measure we used the other time called switch. I'm going to use switch as well. Then now I will use selected value as well. So once a particular bank is selected, I want the color of the font to change, right? So close my bracket, put a comma, and then down here I will now start putting all the banks again. So once you select UBA, I want the color of the font to be in fact, maybe I should even do GTB. So since GTB is the only one that prefer color black, right? So I'll just say once is GTB selected, then it's preferable to have black, right? Preferable to have black color. Otherwise, just do white for everybody, right? Just do white for everyone. So this is like me structuring my font colors to say anytime I'm selecting GTB, I want white. Then if I'm selecting other ones, then I want black. Then if I'm selecting other one, white will definitely be okay, right? So what I will do, I'll come here to my card and I'll go to the data label. Under data label, you will see color. So same thing. I can change this FX, right? Same FX. Come here, select feed value. Then base value will now be that measure I just created called font color test, right? Font color test. So if I click OK, so technically you see that the GTB color is black actually, and then the UBA is white. Immediately I select UBA, the font color has changed to white. Did you see that? Even Access Bank, the font color changed to white. Even First Bank, the font color changed to white. Another interesting thing that I like doing is the background color here, right? I would like this to change with also the background color that I created. So looking at the background, right, I would like to change the color of the background based on the color of this, right? So if I come to my background uh, here, let me just come to background. So background, page background, right? I think I can actually change the background there. So the background does not have effects, right? But the trick that I usually use is just to bring a shape and put it at the back. So I can go to insert and come here, pick a shape, right? Pick a shape here. So I'll draw the shape over the background. So maybe draw it over the whole place like this. Now go to view to move this to the back. So let me move this shape to the back. All right. So since I have the shape at the back now, I can switch up the outline. So for the fill color, right? So I'm just basically going to use the same thing. So let me select this. Switch the outline off. Come to fill color. Then my fill color, select the FX. So just like the same thing, right? So the same thing, just like what I had before. So color scale, I'll change my color scale to field. Now I'll change my base value to what I selected, which is the background color test, right? But this time, I'm going to actually increase the efficiency of this with transparency, right? So that the color will be a little bit different. So I'll give it a transparency, and I'll just do maybe like a 95%. I think like a 95% is okay. All right. So I just do like a 95% for this, and that's fine. Okay, so with that, I am able to actually automate the background as well, the background color as well. So if I select UBA, for example, you notice that my background also we change to something related to red, right? Which is actually make a lot of sense, right? Which make a lot of sense. But let me switch up the background for this, all this my visuals, so this chart can look very interesting. All right. So you can see technically I'm dynamically changing my dashboard just one by one, and you can see how efficient this is. You can see how efficient this is. So the next one I would like to show you is how to do an interesting conditional formatting on a visual, right? On a visual. So a lot of people don't think, okay, so I can only do conditional formatting on the table, right? You can actually do it on a visual as well. So I'll bring a visual technically that shows my MPL. So I like to use maybe let me just use the um, stack column chart. Then stack column chart, basically what I would do here is to put the year from my MPL. So let me just bring the AC for the MPL and just put the year. All right. So I'll put the year. Just put the year here. All right. So I have the chart. I have my chart already. So let me make it a little bit nice. All right. So I have this my chart here that shows the MPL and the year, but let me format it a little bit, and I also need to sort this column by year, so that my year can be sorted based on their structure. So, and I also like to sort it ascending as well. All right, interesting. So also need to switch up the background color. Switch up the background color. All right. Okay, so I can switch up the title for the axis as well. So for the y-axis, I think I can switch up the title, and then for the y-axis, I can just switch off everything and just enable the data label. So that way, this make more sense. All right. So looking at this chart that I can see here right now, so what most people actually do is they just actually change the color to whatever they like, and then they prefer to use that color that way. But because I cannot actually sort this hierarchically based on the values to say I want to see the highest to the smallest, because it's a period. So most people find it difficult doing that. It's a period, you can't sort it. And then looking at the highest, for most people, it's actually some kind of stressful, right? Because even if you look at the percentage, these two guys are actually some kind of similar. But if I have a conditional format that can actually show me the highest in maybe green and the lowest in maybe red, maybe that will have been okay, right? Maybe that will have been okay, right? So let's do a simple conditional formatting that will do that. So me, I'm just taking the default color for the data color. So I'm just playing around with that, so you see how efficient that is. But I would like to use a conditional formatting to do this. So just as you know, I'm going to do a measure again. I'm going to call this measure. I just want to test. I want to see the maximum and the minimum value inside my chart. So I'll come here and write another measure. So write another measure for my consolidated banks, and this measure that I'm writing, I'm going to call it mean or max value. So I want to see the mean or max value. So I want to know the minimum or the maximum value, and I want to give it a red and green color, right? A red and green color. All right. So mean or max value. All right. So this is what I want to know. So I'll just do these different functions or these different measures, right? So I need to be able to identify this is a maximum first and this is a minimum, right? Then after I identify the maximum and the minimum, then it will be easy for me to say, okay, I want to see if the AC is equals to maximum, then give me this color, and if the AC is equals to this minimum, then give me this color, right? But for me to be able to do that, so let me do like a variable. So I'll do a variable that will actually anchor the highest value and the lowest value. So basically, I'm going to call this maximum maximum maximum. So I'll just call this maximum value, right? So maximum value. So maximum value, I'm going to use a function called max x, right? So max x will be able to do a max based on an expression like a filter, right? So if you look at this max x, we see max x, I have ordinary max. So ordinary max will just return the largest numeric number. But max x will return the largest numeric number based on an evaluation and expression, right? So I want to return the maximum number based on the year, right? Because the year is like my category here. So what I would do here, I will do for the table, so I will do all selected year. So based on all the selected year, then I want you to give me maximum on the actual, right? So I will do something called all selected. So based on all the selected year, also all the year that you selected, so I want you to give me the maximum on the actual. So let me just pick here, year. So based on all the selected years, I want you to do actual. So I want you to select actual and give me the maximum on actual, right? So this is a way of me selecting the maximum value for the year, right? So I can do another variable that will just anchor the minimum value. So I'll just say minimum value. So this, I'm going to use a min x also, right? Just like I know min is just to return the lowest, but min x will allow me to do some kind of an expression and a filters, right? So I want to do all selected for the year as well, the same all selected. So all the years that was selected, right, from my year table, all selected year, and then from the all selected year, I want you to now do the mean on the actual, right? Okay, so interesting. So I have the two variable, the minimum value and the lowest value. Now, how did I use this in my chart? I need to be able to return this based on maybe a condition, right? A condition that says if the actual is equals to minimum, then give me red. If the actual is equals to maximum, then give me green, right? And that's technically simple. I already know the DAX measure to use. So I'll use if, right? So just if. So if my actual, right, this actual is equals to my maximum, right? This is my maximum. That's my variable. This is my variable, right? Then I want you to return what? That's my logical test. Then I want you to return what? Green, actually. But I think I have the color code for green, or I should just type green. But I think it's better I just pick the color code for green. So that is some kind of faster, right? So you can actually add different color codes if you want to. So I just pasted this color code now for green. Then I'll put a comma. Now, result if false. Once this is false, if this is false, then I want to do another condition. And this condition that I'm doing this time is if my actual, which is my AC, is equals to minimum, right? Which is my variable. Then what do I want this to do this time? Then I want you to return red, right? But this time I'm going to pick the color code as well. So I have the color code already saved on my system. So I can just pick the color code and just paste it here, right? And then I'll close my bracket. I'll close my bracket. So this is basically the function or the measure that will control the lowest and the highest in my chart. So let me click enter and let's see how we are going to use this. Okay, let's see how we are going to use this. So the minimum should be what? Color red, and the maximum should be what? Color green. All right, interesting. So now let me go to my data color and let's just click on FX. So I'm basically going to click on FX and select my data color based on what so this is going to be vid value. So I'll come to my consolidated value. So I'll look for mean or max. So I use mean or max. All right, mean or max value. Then I'll select OK. Let's see if you have a minimum. Okay, so now it's changing everything to green. Why? Because I'm selecting the year from the wrong table, right? So if you look at my MPL, you notice that I select AC from here, and then the year is also from the MPL table. But from my measure, really, what I did was all selected year from my dimension, right? So all selected year from this my year dimension. So I have to make sure that the year I'm picking is actually from my same dimension. So I'll come here, I'll remove this year that I picked from the MPL table. Then I'll go to my year dimension. To my year dimension, I think I have a dimension year down here, and just put this in my axis, and let's see. Wow, interesting. So can you still see how effective my formula works? So technically this shows that 2010 is the highest and then 2013, but this is not sorted again. So let me sort it again. I want you to sort by year. Yeah, so sort by year and then sort ascending. All right, so this is me doing a dynamic changing of my charts, right? So I can easily see, okay, so this is the highest and this is the smallest in just a view, right? So if I select any banks now, you see that this will keep on changing. So this will keep on changing for GTB. I think the MPL was the highest in 2009 and the lowest in 2014. So for Access Bank, they have the highest in 2011 and the lowest in 2015, right? So this keep on changing. So that's another type of um, interesting conditional formatting that we can do. Now, on table, do you know I can actually do a conditional formatting on table as well to say, okay, so I want to see the top three value in my table. I want to see the top four, right? So I want to see different things, right? But before I can actually do this, right, to say, okay, so I want to see the top three, I want to see the top four, I want to see the top five, I need to be able to do something like a rank. So the rank actually is just to rank the line items to see, okay, so which one is the highest, which one is the, just to give them the ranking. Then after the ranking, I can now easily say, okay, so let me do the coloring based on the rank. So I'm going to go to my new measure again and then show you one of the rank I've created. So this rank here, I actually have something like rank or selected chart of accounts, and then based on the calculation. So I can see this rank from 1, 2, 3. So let me bring this rank in so you see the ranking, right? So this is the different ranking to the right? This is the different ranking here. So you see the different ranking based on different bank, right? But let me remove that. So I've ranked all the line item based on that, right? I've do different ranking based on that. So what I want to do now, based on the ranking, I want to be able to say if the ranking is less than or equals to 2, then I want this to be green, right? Maybe I want to say the first two, right? Maybe if you are 1 or you are 2, then I want it to be green. Then if the ranking is below 30, maybe greater than or equals to 30, then I want you to see it in red. I want you to flag it in red. So what I'm going to do, I'll do new measure again, just to show you how effective this DAX can be with your conditional formatting. So what I will do now, I'll write a measure called the background inside the table. So this is like a background in a table. It's like a background in a table. So I'll call it, what should I call this really? So let me call it table background. Table background. Table background test. Now, this table background test, I just want to see the different testing I want to test, right? So I would like to use the switch as well. So just to switch from different things. Now, the first thing I would test with my switch is if something is true or not, because I want to do a condition that says if the rank is less than or equals to 2, then give me green. If the rank is greater than or equals to 30, then give me black, right? So I'll use true, right? I want to know whether you are true or not. So what true is checking is, are you true or not, right? So that's what I'm doing with my switch. Now we'll now put the conditions that says if the rank that I created, that rank, is less than or equals to 2, then I want you to give me green, right? Green. Now, the second command is if the actual rank is greater than or equals to 30, then I want you to give me red, right? I want you to give me red. So let me close my bracket and show you what this looks like. So I want you to give me green and I want to give me red. So I'm going to select this table and then I'll come to my actual. So let me do that on actual first. So I'll do a conditional formatting on actual, just like we do a conditional formatting for a simple table. So on actual, I will select the drop down for actual, come to conditional formatting. Remember, I'm doing background color this time, so I'll select background color. All right, so format will be feed value, and I can select my measure. So my measure is called table background test, right? And I'll click OK. So basically, looking at this, you will see that the ranks that are more than 2 is already giving them in green, right? And the one that are more than 30, so probably you see them in red, right? In red. So this is the kind of conditional formatting I was able to do. So the one that are more than 30, you can see that they are in red actually, and the one that are less than 2 in green. So, but it's difficult for me to read this number because this is black, right? And I think white will actually show more on this red and green color. So I can do a conditional formatting that also change the font color as well. So it should just be similar to what I did. So just the same thing as what I did, but it's the color that we change this time. It's the font. It's the font that I'm going to change this time around. So I'll do the same measure again. The same measure again. So I can copy this measure that I've already created for this one. So you know it's actually similar. Then I'll come here and do a new measure. All right. So let me paste this here and then I'll call this table font test. Table font. So this is going to be table font test. And then the switch is testing if it's true as well, right? And then for this one, if you are true, so I'll prefer white. So I want white. And then this is also, the red is also white for this. Even if you are the red, it should be white. I can actually change the color if I want to. But this time, S, I would like to introduce S. So if you're not part of the two condition, then I want you to be in black, right? So that it will retain the normal black that I have. To rename the black. So I just finished writing a font measure. All right, so now let's introduce the font measure inside our table. So I'll click my table again, come to my actual. Select conditional formatting, but this time is going to be conditional formatting based on font color. So I'll select font color, right? So font color, I just need to go and pick my measure. So feed value, and then come here and say my consolidated banks. I have something called table font test. Okay, now click OK. All right, so you can see the color now look very sharp, and then I can see the red and the green at a glance actually. So these are some of the conditional formatting that I want to show you. You can make it dynamic by using different functions. I can actually make it complex by working on, maybe I can do an upper band or lower band for this, so that I can give the people the liberty to say, I want to say the top 3, I want to say the top 2 higher band, and I want to say the top 3 lower band, right? But because of my time, I won't go deep into that now. So you can do a lot of conditional formattings like this, and it's extremely very simple to do. So it's not something so complex, right? So special thanks to Microsoft for supporting
Data Platform Gigs and SQL Server Gigs Community Initiative. And then this is my session. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining this